So I'd like to tell you tonight something that I did during the month of February in 2012. I had been thinking a lot about transition, the little shifts and adjustments that make up the pattern of our daily life, as well as the larger major life changes that change that pattern. I was thinking about transition because there were some big changes in my own life at the time. My oldest son had recently left home, and that was an adjustment. And it was hitting me for some reason all of a sudden then that when my younger son left home in a few years, that things were going to be very different and very different forever. So also around that time, professionally, my artwork was changing in major ways as well. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but I did know that I wanted to move away from the solitary practice of making things in the studio and also showing things in the traditional gallery or exhibition spaces. I wanted to make work that was live. I wanted to do work that was temporal. I wanted to have a more direct connection to the audience or viewer and have that connection be repeated and for some duration. I also knew that I wanted to use the body in my work and specifically the costumed body. Also around this time I was walking a lot, and it was while I was walking that I started to formulate an idea for a piece about transition, about how major changes can really change your perspective and shake things up and reveal things that maybe were always there but that you never noticed before. So my piece would involve or incorporate a daily walk. My plan was to walk the exact same route every day, Monday through Friday, at exactly the same time each day during the morning commute. My route would include two of the major routes into Burlington, busy commuter routes, Shelburne Road and Pine Street. I would wear a costume that would undergo a gradual transformation over the 3 or 4 weeks that I was out, from white to all red. And when I thought of this piece, I was imagining this white figure in a white backdrop of snow, kind of blending in, and then as it changed to red, really popping. But there was actually no snow that month, that year, or very little. It was mostly brown. So that was too bad. But it was cold, so I built my costume on top of a very heavy wool coat. And I sewed onto that little white patches, cotton patches of fabric, each with a little buttonhole sewed in the middle. And I built a headpiece to match, so it was very much of a top to bottom, head to toe sort of thing. Once all those pieces were sewed onto the coat, then I stuffed through each buttonhole a single red plastic bag. And these were the bags that the newspaper was coming in at that time, and my friends saved them for me, and I saved them. And I tied one end of the bag through the buttonhole to the coat, so you could pull the bags out through the buttonholes, but not right off the coat. So I started my performance in early February, and my hope is that the same people would see me every day, day in, day out, and they would witness the metamorphosis of this figure. My hope was that I'd be part of their routine, part of their daily transition from home to work. I was definitely nervous heading out. Anyone who knows me will tell you that I'm a shy person, so it's a little ironic that my biggest fear was that no one would notice me when I first went out. But that was not a problem. I was noticed immediately and a lot. So my plan was to pull the red bags out through the buttonholes a little bit each day, a little more each day, until they were all out, and they were all completely out. They were about a foot long, each of these bags. And I would do that before I left. I wouldn't try to do it while I was walking. And so that's probably like the second day there. I wanted to do this in February because I think we tend to get a little sleepy and groggy and shuttered in the winter. So I wanted to wake people up. I wanted to add something absurd and ridiculous to their daily experience at that time of year in Vermont. And I was definitely surprised, actually, by the amount of reactions. The amount of reactions and also the intensity of the reactions. I definitely wanted to amuse people, but I didn't expect to be so amused myself. I laughed all the time. You wouldn't know it, but I was laughing almost all the time. And I didn't stop to talk to people either on the route, though lots of people tried to talk to me. There was one woman who I passed every single day. She was a walker, and we would pass each other, and our eyes would meet, and I had felt a kind of connection to her. And one day she stopped and tried to ask me a question about what I was doing. And of course, I just walked right by her. And I felt bad, actually, about that. But, but the nice thing was after the performance, she sent me a card saying how much she enjoyed seeing me every day and how much she liked having me part of her daily walk. And that now that I wasn't there, that she missed me. So that was a home run for me. I love that. So my intended audience for this piece was absolutely the commuter. You know, I wanted to play to an audience that was going through a daily transition while I was going through my transition. But there were other audiences as well. And one really big one, and strangely enough that I hadn't thought of on the outset, but was children. Because my route went right by an elementary school at exactly the time that the kids were getting to school. So that quickly became the highlight of my day. Their enthusiasm and excitement was exactly like a standing ovation. It was fantastic. So by the end of this performance, I looked like a shaggy red Yeti, I think. And it was a little hard to see because the bags were all on my face constantly. After the performance, I created a short video that was based on the performance, though not documentation. It was its own little piece that showed later in the year in a couple places in New York City. And then the last picture is my favorite memento from this whole experience. It was made by Thomas, who was 6 at the time, and a student at the elementary school, and given to me as a present afterwards. So thank you for letting me show you what I did during February of 2012.